Hello my beautiful people, welcome to Stop Moaning with your host, it's me, Hall-Trainor. Please like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying the podcast. I know it ain't started yet, but get ahead of yourselves, why not? And while you're there, give us a 5-star review, will ya? Right, let's get on with it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stop Moaning. So firstly, thank you for listening, and I just want to put out a trigger warning as there will be a lot of chat about eating disorders, specifically binging and mental health conditions, so just bear that in mind. But if that's not going to cause any distress, please come and watch it, and if it will cause you distress, please switch off now. We have been gone for 2 weeks. We have had International Women's Day, we have had Mother's Day. Hope you've all had a great time over that period. And my brother's got a nice big bunch of flowers. It's got to be done, it's got to be done. My best friend actually gave birth on Mother's Day, casually. How amazing is that? She gave birth on Mother's Day. Iconic moment. Iconic moment. Like, not even joking with you. I know you probably think, no, surely not. That's too convenient. No, he's here. I'm not going to give all birth details. Obviously, it's not my birth story to tell, but let's just say it was a very quick birth, and welcome to the world, little one. You have got one hell of a venture ahead of you. Good luck is all I can say. Okay, love you, my sweetheart. My 2 weeks have been pretty wild. Not wild with adventure, just wild with emotions, I would say. Whirlwind of emotiones. It's been whoa, stutter. It's been okay. So last Tuesday, I went in to the hospital and I saw the nurse because it was the educational session where I got to see the device that went into my back. Well, it's not in my back yet, that's going into my back, you get the gist. I saw that, and I also saw the remote. I actually quite like the colour of the device. I did say that out loud, and she did laugh at me because obviously it doesn't really matter what colour the device is, since it's going to be literally buried into my back. That makes me feel sick, so I am sorry if you are eating. So anyway, saw the device. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put it on the screen. But if you're not watching and you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any of the other platforms, then it is about the size of a matchbox. Matchbox? That's what they say. They say it's the size of a matchbox. I'd say it's the size of a Tamagotchi. However, this one won't die, because all my Tamagotchis would die all the time. Who remembers actually having a Tamagotchi and you're like in the playground, you're like, oh my God, guys, are you going to play with your Tamagotchi at lunchtime? Yeah, are you? No, I forgot mine. Can I play on yours? No, because you'll kill mine. That was literally how the conversation would go. And yeah, that's going to go into my back, which is stunning. I wasn't the only one there though, guys. There was somebody else. And no, I have not asked for permission to talk about them because I think that's a bit weird. Unless it's obviously like a serious situation. But I just need to talk on what happened, because I'm either really dramatic or they're really dramatic case. So imagine this, yeah. So we're sitting in this room. It was like a classroom, like literally a classroom, yeah. We're waiting because they do it as like a class, to learn about how this device is going to work, how it's going to, do its magic, So anyway, right, and we're waiting for this. I was with my mum and we're waiting for this person. Never met them before, that also has the same condition. So I'm not gonna lie, I was low-key excited because I thought I can make a friend with them, we can be robots together. However, that obviously was not the case. So I'm laughing because it was, anyway, we're waiting, time's ticking on now. It's been about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He walks in. Yes, you heard that correctly. Walks in. No crutches, nothing. Like, anyway, I'm not a Karen, so let's not pretend I looked at my mum on the session. Surely, this must be the physio or something. Like, surely this... No, it was. And then he was telling us how he's local. So in my head, I was like, why were you late then, sunshine, if you were local? 15 minutes late, tut. We were listening about the device. She was showing us the device, showing us the remote and stuff like this, yeah? Asking questions as we go, that kind of vibe. Then all of a sudden, we hear... and we're like, what's going on? And it's this guy. It's like, can we crack open? Can we... hold me. Can we crack open the window, please? So I feel like I'm going to faint. Anyway, obviously, the first thing is a genuine worry, because it's like, has this guy diabetes? You know, is this a common occurrence for him? Anyway, no, he didn't have any of that. Yes, he'd eaten breakfast. He was just so, like, flustered by it, and she hadn't even got into the details yet. And this guy was like over 40, and I am awful in situations like this, because I will just laugh. And I'm just sitting there, yeah, I'm like, because my face will say it all. If I don't say anything, just look at my face, you'll know exactly what I'm thinking, which is good in some ways, bad in some others, as in this one. I was literally sitting there like that. Right, anyway, so he'd walked in, loving his life of walking without the crutches. Then the woman was like telling us about the operation, and it was going to take 2 hours, and everything she said, she was just like, oh, could I have a glass of water, please? And like, oh my goodness, it was like, he strikes me as somebody that has never been through anything in his life. Granted, right, I get that it's a fear for some people, like, you know, we're awake for the operation, we're not going to be put asleep, we're under local. I wish it was under general, but, you know, it's about the spine, you know, it's got to be as safe as possible. And the other reason is, it's not just about the spine, it's about because you have to actually speak to the doctors throughout. Bizarre, I know. I really wish I was able to film the surgery, but I think that's a bit too much, isn't it? But I'm gonna have like a guy standing in front of me, communicating with me to how high and how low we want the signals to be, essentially, and the therapy to be, like how intense, basically, that's the right word, how intense we want it to be. And anyway, so as she's going through this, he's just like so dramatic, like, oh my goodness, like, mate, get a grip. Like, I get it, it's upsetting, everything like that, but the reason I'm talking about it like this is because it goes on to say, we were talking about like the dates for the operation, right? And there's a bit of a backlog, which is expected. It's never smooth sailing at this point, right? There's a bit of a backlog, so you expect it to wait a little bit longer than possible. Hopefully it'll just be like, I don't know, a month of backlog or something like that, like nothing too wild. Anyway, he goes, can I request that I have my operation in April, please, because I've got a cricket match. Hold me back. Hold me back. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just severe jealousy or it was anger, but I just didn't understand. How am I in this much pain? Like, I can't sleep at night. You know, I'm not working. I can no longer do my dream job. You know, I can't walk without a crutches. And he's off playing cricket on the weekend. Like, what? Like, that just baffles me. I don't get it. And like, it was just the way he said it. And then she was talking about like medication and stuff, and like what medication to be on. And obviously I was like, well, I'm on morphine, can I still take it? Then she goes to me, did you know, and if anyone else out there is like suffering with pain, is on morphine, apparently paracetamol actually activates the morphine. Did not know that. So obviously, best bet, I went and bought loads of paracetamol straight after. Hasn't made a difference, but you know, the fault's there. As for like this guy, as soon as she started bringing up medication, she was saying, and he was like, oh, you know, will we be given any really strong medication and stuff? She was like, no, just ibuprofen and whatever you're taking, ibuprofen, paracetamol, whatever you're taking now. He said, like, what if you're not taking anything? And I thought, oh, this just gets better, because I like half thought, I thought, oh, this guy must be on like his medication must be really working for him, like good on him. The fact that he can still lead a normal life is just incredible, even before the operation. So you know, whether like, you know, if you look at my situation, it's a little bit different. But anyway, so I was like, hold up, he's not on any medication, he's playing cricket at the weekends. Like, God's sake, he's going to be joining a pole dancing class, isn't he, once he's had this operation? I can't quite cope. I don't know if I'm just experiencing severe jealousy or just like, what the F? Like, without swearing. Got told off for that last time, sorry Dad. The only thing I can think of is his condition might not be as advanced as mine is. The lady in there said I was the youngest they've ever had, and they do a lot, and I mean a lot of operations. You know, it can be something, but I think it was something like it's well over 50 people a week. Well, it might not be a week, it might be every 2 weeks or something like that, but it's a lot of people, right? I don't know the specific numbers, but that's a lot of people with this condition, and I'm not surprised, and the reason I'm not surprised is I have looked and looked and looked and looked on social media for somebody with multifidus fat infiltration, and the only people I have found with it is in America, and not one of them that I have come across, like, because usually on social media people are quite open about it. Not one of them have I come across that is my age, because it's so bizarre with the chronic pain. And I say community because it is a community. I didn't realise it was a community until I unfortunately, in a way, well, yeah, unfortunately had to join it. But the people in it are just so helpful. So I'm not too worried now. I was worried before because I kind of wanted to speak to someone that actually has it, has the reactivate, see how their life has impacted, if they've got any like tips and stuff, because like I've got like a lot of people on my social media with like MS, cystic fibrosis, like lots of different things, and then obviously the hypermobility. So I found like with my hypermobile joint syndrome, I found it almost easier mentally to deal with because I had other people to speak to about it. Like, there was so many ex-dancers that have it. Like, it's very quite common for dancers to have it. And then you've got, obviously, my hearing loss. So anyway, obviously, when I was a little girl and I had my hearing problem, I still do. But, like, in school, I'm talking like primary school. My dad... I don't know if it was my dad or what, but I'm sure it was my dad that got in contact with someone. I remember her name, and she was a lovely lady. She really did help me through some tough times in school. It was in like when I was in year 6, it was when my parents were splitting up, and she was actually the lady for my hearing. So she would come in, check my hearing aids, like she'd come into my school or home, but usually into school, and she'd like check my hearing aids and just make sure they were working correctly, and that the other teachers understood what, like, if the teachers had any questions about my hearing aids, obviously where I was young. I remember there was one time, and I actually didn't feel embarrassed. I felt really cool. She actually did a talk for the class about my hearing aids, about radio aids, and about like how it can really impact me and other people with hearing loss. But obviously where I was in their class, it was almost like a really important thing that she wanted to do and provide for the class, so that I had that support, and they also knew what to do if they ever come across anybody else with a hearing problem again. So I thought that was really useful. However, off the back of this, she then put us in contact with other people with hearing problems. Now, this was really nice in itself, but what then, because looking back at it, I can't stop laughing. There was a brother, I think it was either brother or sister, or there was a boy and a girl, I can't actually remember completely, got on really well with them. They both had hearing aids. One of them was extremely deaf, like they had the implant. And yeah, so we was all, but one of them you really could tell was deaf, like their speech was impacted. And yeah, we was either all... This is where my humour gets bad. We was either all shouting like at each other. In like, I just remember us sitting in the room, like we were all sitting in like a circle. Don't know what we were doing. We were probably doing a puzzle or something. And like we were just all can't go shouting at each other or whispering. There was no in between, as there is now. Like, I'm probably blowing your eardrums off. Like, I do apologise, but yeah, it was just, looking back, I think, oh my God, like, if you was to be like a fly in the wall in that, it would have looked so cute or so hilarious. Either, there's no in between. Yeah, so that's sort of where it stemmed from for me to find other people. But I can assure you now, I will absolutely not be contacting this guy. Do best watch though. I don't know. I reckon I'll bump into him again. I hope he does well in his cricket match. So the actual device itself, like I say, the operation is 2 hours long, and it means I have to actually lay on my stomach. So we've actually got to practice. This sounds so weird. We've actually got to practice laying on our stomach, and I think that's like, didn't think anything of it. I thought that's surely easy. No, it's not easy, especially with back pain. It is not easy, because they said it can take between an hour and a half and 2 hours, this operation. Like I said before, they'll be talking to me throughout it. It's very bizarre. The guy that I've got facing me is actually the guy that I'm going to have with me throughout my life now. So what I mean by that is, when I say I'm turning into a robot, I'm turning into a robot. If I leave the country, like, as in Europe, if I leave Europe, I've just confused myself. Geography is not my thing. Put it this way. If I go to Australia, America, places with massive time zone differences, I have to go into hospital and get reprogrammed before I go. Basically, I have a remote control. I press it once in the morning, once in the evening. It does 30-minute intervals, essentially. So one 30-minute interval in the morning and one 30-minute interval in the evening. And natural therapy is like to help with the pain, right? If I was to leave the country, as in like America, Australia, other side of the world vibe, I would have to get reprogrammed so that it would still work on the 12-hour clock. Because obviously if you're in a different country, the time zones are entirely different, and you wouldn't want it to, like, the device to sort of think you've done 2 sessions too close together, because they won't let you do a session within close proximity to each other. So that's a big word for me. So, like, for example, it has to be 12 hours in between, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's proper robotic. Can't do MRI scans, and I will struggle. I can't go through metal detectors at airports. I will have a little card to prove obviously why. So it's just pretty mental, like, that's actually going into my back. So it's about this big. It'll be going into my left side because it's like my least dominant side. So like if I was to lay and watch telly, I won't be laying on that side. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, so that's with the operation, and I'll find out within the month when the operation is due. Exciting time. Apart from that, like, emotionally this week, these past couple of weeks, I felt not great. I understand now that I am struggling with an eating disorder, and I knew it before, but like, I kind of just, I don't know, it's sort of something I just accepted I had and didn't really ever think of, okay, so you're gonna sort it. So like today I've been listening to a podcast about it, and I'm going to book an appointment at the doctor's. I know this is all real personal information, but I want to bring you guys along with me, because if this helps somebody else, like I'm quite an open person. I'd say I'm a really open person. I don't mind sharing my experiences if it was to help somebody else. So for example, if you're like me, like I have an eating disorder, I have suffered with eating disorders all my life, but I've never officially got them diagnosed by a doctor. It's always been like discussing them with a therapist and stuff, but obviously as we know, therapists can't actually diagnose you, but they can sort of hint maybe at, oh, you might have this, or you might want to talk to the doctor about this, so then you can get a specific diagnosis. I'm going to make an appointment with the doctors and just see what help there is out there. Listening to a podcast, well, it's actually an audio book. I'm on like chapter 3 or 4 now, and I listened to that today, because what they were saying in it is basically it's an addiction. So like I used to vape, I used to smoke years and years ago. It's something that I struggled with to give up. Vaping for me was really, really difficult to give up, and the only way I could do it was just literally go cold turkey. Whether like with food, it's so difficult because you can't obviously just stop eating, because that's literally got detrimental effects. What I'm learning is it's just processed food. Processed food doesn't agree with me anyway, really. Like if I was to have a takeaway, you know, the toilet see me more than my bed, without saying too much. Do you know what it is? I think it's because I'm literally clued up on fitness and stuff like that. I'm literally qualified personal trainer. And this is why I think I've never reached out for proper help before my eating disorders. And I think it is genuinely about my ego. And I don't mean it as in like I think really highly of myself, because I don't, to be honest. I'm definitely thinking more highly of myself now than I used to, but I wouldn't say like I don't love myself like over the top, you know. I don't hate myself, you know. I'm really good at dealing with things. Like I will deal with them when they arise. I deal with problems when they arise. I'm not gonna then just hope that it goes away on its own. However, with this, I seem to have done that. And then that's sort of, I haven't even realised I've done it. Like I've just like I say, accepted that that's part of like my identity, is that I really binge on chocolate, and I can't just have chocolate without a packet of crisps, and I can't have a packet of crisps without loads of chocolate. And it's not just like a little bar of chocolate. I physically cannot just eat a little bar of chocolate. I have to have like chocolate, Easter egg, and all of this. This is the thing as well, this time of year for me is so difficult. I've always struggled with it, but again, I just love Easter eggs. Yeah, I love chocolate, but I don't actually enjoy it when I eat it, because it's gone so quickly. I have no time to even think about what I'm eating. Before I know it, it's gone, and I've literally just blinked. And do you know what I mean? Like in my bin, I've literally got wrappers, 12, what have we got? Cadbury, 12 Easter egg with the 2 bars of chocolate, which I literally ate all in one sitting. I don't even feel sick anymore. And obviously, I know I was talking about obviously my body image and stuff. The difference is, before when I had a binge, and I think I spoke about this last time, before when I had a binge, I would go to the gym, but in a healthy way. I was really good at sort of putting that binge aside, going, okay, that was yesterday, this is today, brand new day, just implement the healthy habits now. How can I be so about fitness, but then behind closed doors, I'm literally scoffing my face and then feeling horrific about it, and then it impacts my mood the next day, and then the next day after, and the next day after that, and it's just the only way of out of that cycle is to have another binge, but then you feel again exactly the same as you did before. And they were saying like on the podcast that it's actually addiction, and I didn't realise it was addiction. So does that mean I'm literally addicted to chocolate? Because it makes sense. When people talk about addiction, it's always serious things like smoking, drugs, drinking. things like that. That's what I would associate addiction with, not a chocolate bar. Because I think, do you know what it is? Everybody in the world could have a hold of a chocolate bar if they wanted to. Like, there's no age limit on it. Do you see what I mean? It's not like it's a treat for kids. It's a treat for adults. It's a treat everywhere. It is literally on adverts where it is like poured out really slowly. I always used to laugh, and I do laugh at, you know when the lady's on the telly and she's eating a chocolate and she's like, she does it so slowly. I just think that's ridiculous. Who eats chocolate like that? Like, genuinely, who does? Because I'd love to meet them. Because imagine that, sitting in a restaurant and like, I don't know, you've got a really nice dessert or something like that, and then like every mouthful, you'd be like, what are you doing, love? Are you quite alright? It's funny because the things I really, really enjoy is fruit, and I love grapes. I absolutely love oranges, and after that I always think, oh, that was really nice, that was really juicy. Like, I don't think that was chocolate. There's no fault afterwards, and I've never really spoke about it in depth like this before, but it is definitely something I'm dealing with. I want to go to the shop after this and buy loads of chocolate and tell myself that that's going to be the last time I binge. But is it going to be the last time? I can't sit, I'm going to try not to, but I can't say I won't, because like I say, it's a struggle. It's a serious struggle. And I think it's genuine. Like, you sound almost, or I think, I've always thought I've sounded mad if I'm like, I'm addicted to food. I've always had issues with food. I either eat too much or not enough. When I was younger, being a dancer, that comes with its own, problems and struggles with food and how much you should eat. And then you get like the dance teachers that say that you're too heavy to be a dancer, or you need to lean out in this specific area, and that's so damaging to your self-esteem. And not only that, you're looking at yourself in the mirror 24, like all the time, like every dance class. It's not just a dance class, especially if you go into like an actual college and trained in it, that is all day, as in 8, 9, sometimes 12 hours a day. You are looking at yourself in that mirror, picking out bits about yourself that you want to change and stuff like that. So it's going to lead to eating disorders. It's almost guaranteed, unless you're so switched on and you have experience with it prior to being a dancer. I think it's so hard to avoid. I'm not saying it is with everybody, but for me, maybe it was because I was dealing with depression at the time, so naturally I'm more vulnerable, and probably more prone to things like this. With eating disorders, it's something not taken lightly, but I've just never in a million years ever thought of it as an addiction. I've always just thought that's something completely separate to addiction, but it does make sense, because it's things like I wake up in the morning and I want chocolate, and yeah, and it's not just like Cocoa Pops. I'm fine with Cocoa Pops. I don't binge on Cocoa Pops. I binge on chocolate bars. It's just, it's upsetting because you cite something I don't have control over. And I will seek the help. I know I will. And I'll, call the doctors, and I'll definitely keep updated with how that's going. I've noticed any time I'm suffering, it could be, mentally, physically, with my back and stuff like that, all I want to do is eat chocolate, and I'll really glamorise it. I'm never just going to be, it's not just going to be, I won't eat the chocolate like when I've bought it in the shop. I'll wait, and I'll wait until I'm home, I've had dinner, I've had a bath, like I'm ready for bed, then I will just sit in bed and I will demolish chocolate. I used to, when I was a personal trainer, and this is something nobody knows, if I was on a late shift, I wouldn't take my bag to the shop, because obviously there was a Tesco basically, like literally next door to the gym, so you'd get like, your meals for the evening and stuff. So a late shift meant you didn't finish till about 10, half 10, at night. So this was when my cravings were the worst, and it was always when I was on a late shift. And I hated feeling judged, and I've noticed I even do it in the shops. Like, I'll pick up all these chocolate bars, and they're not just like the little ones, they're the big sharer ones. And when I was at the gym, like, I would go to the shop specifically just for chocolate, as in I would buy. I remember there was one shift, I was working as a PT, right? And I would buy this one chocolate bar, it's like this big. Then I'd buy, like, you know, the bag of like treats, like it could be like Maltesers or something like that. Then I'd buy, there was these little Lindt chocolate bars I was obsessed with, got it with every meal deal, got about 2 of them. Would walk back into the gym with it all under my jacket, just holding the Lindt, one Lindt, a normal size chocolate bar, because I thought if people see that I've got all that chocolate, they're gonna judge me and be so judgmental, considering I'm literally in personal trainer uniform. Actual reality was I was hiding all of this chocolate underneath my like fleece and holding just this Lindt, so people only saw the Lindt chocolate, so they thought, oh, she's having a little snack of chocolate, when actually the reality was I was about to go and have a binge. I could never eat that Lindt chocolate bar and then save the rest for later. If I started eating the Lindt, or I had a try of a chocolate bar, I'd have to eat the rest. There was nothing that can stop me. Or, for example, I remember I had a chocolate bar in my bag and I was training a client, yeah, and all I could think about was this chocolate bar. But the thing is, when I actually ate it, it was gone within seconds, and it's like, that control the food has over me is just so severe in that sense. It's really difficult to sort of deal with, and it's really difficult to know your limits. Even things like, so going for a meal with the girls, right, I wouldn't just go for that meal and then go home and not eat anything. Sometimes I would, depends what the meal is. But if I was to go out for like burger and chips, there's absolutely no way at all that I would come home and not eat anything else. That would be a binge. Whether if I was to go out and have a salad, or like a really nice, I don't know, pasta dish or something like that, I wouldn't have a binge. I would probably just chill and have a herbal tea at night, like I would normally. Because this is the thing, when I'm really on track and I'm not binging, like as in like I feel like I've sort of got control back, and I notice if I've literally cut chocolate out of my life, that's when I'm the best, as in like binge wise. I cut it out of my life. My lifestyle is so much more sustainable, as in like it remains the same every day. So I am very easy, and I know exactly what to do to lose weight, because that's where the qualification comes in. I know exactly what to do to gain weight if I needed to, and I know what's healthy and what isn't. No food is bad food, and I think that's what's actually triggered me to have this eating disorder, because I've literally been telling all my clients like, no food is bad food, you know, you're amazing how you are, like, you know, embrace yourself. And I will say all this, but I'm actually not taking my own advice whatsoever. Most self-conscious I've ever been about my body. No, I have not put on a lot of weight, but it's just because I'm not as lean, which in hindsight I just need to get used to, because realistically I'm not going to be that lean again for a long time, probably another year. So I need to like start to learn how my body is now, and the fact that my body's dealing with all of this, and actually I'm sitting here right now, like, yes, granted I've had to take a few breaks because my back will just seize up, but I'm still sitting here right now. I haven't got that condition that I thought I had when I went into hospital and they said that I could be going paralysed. I haven't got that. So I've got to really focus on that. I've got to focus on the future. And yes, I can't focus on tomorrow. I can't focus on next week. I have to focus on literally today. And that for me has been so bizarre, because usually I really I love planning. Plan ahead, like I book my time in Yorkshire every year. Basically every single year from lockdown I have spent a good couple of times in Yorkshire, and it's my second home there. Go home, Siri.
Hi, Meg.
Hi. Right, that's weird. Siri's just popped up and said, "Hi, Meg. Hello. Nice to see you too, mate. You a bit bored?" I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, I have to just take it literally day by day. I cannot plan holidays. I cannot do this. That's so difficult. Like, because before I would really rely on like booking Yorkshire. That's something for me to look forward to. Get to see my second family. Like, it's just amazing, right? Then you've got like other stuff, like holiday to Spain, see my auntie. Things like that we could book in. But because I don't have a date of the operation, I can't book anything in for one. And then for two, it's like, it's so difficult because it's just like, what you meant to do? Like, you can't plan anything. I used to really, really dread turning 30, right? So I turn 30 next year. I know that next year I would have had the operation, right? So this year I'll be having the operation. Next year I would have been recovered and it should be working in full order and I can see the actual benefits. So next year I'm seeing it as my life starts again, and because I would have lost 2 years of my life, right? That's how I'm seeing it. Obviously, we know there's positive things that have happened in my life in the last year. But as we know, this next year is going to be another year of recovery. So this is how I've got to think of it. Because I think at least when I'm 30, my life's going to be how it's going to be. It's going to be the best it will be, recovery-wise and stuff like that. Because the device will be working and stuff like that. Hopefully. But I've just got to think like that. I've got to think positive in the sense that it's fine. Don't plan anything now, but next year is going to be your year. 2025. Bring it on. I'm not actually planning anything because, as we know from this, I'm going to be so disappointed if it doesn't happen. And literally anything can happen. I just want to focus on getting well first. And if I can get well, obviously I've got this condition for life, so I'm always going to have episodes of pain. I'm always going to be in pain. It's just not going to be as significant with this device. That's the best way of describing it. Once I have this operation done, it actually takes up to 9 months to work, like as in the therapy, in the device, to work for the pain. It can take up to 9 months. A lot more waiting, so it's a long road ahead yet. But we're on the road. We're getting there. And if you're struggling with something, it could be anything at all, and it's in your power to change it. Life is so short and you really do not know what's happening. Like when I woke up that day, I had a full day of clients, training, everything. I did not think that I would have been in work for less than an hour and I was going to be sitting in hospital for the rest of the night and the rest of the week and never go back to that place again. I've not been back to work in a year, and little did I know that that was going to be the last time I ever was a personal trainer. Didn't know that. You know, I think I had about 4 or 5 clients that day. I had to cancel them all because I was in hospital. But it wasn't a cancel, it was a reschedule. I was like, don't worry, I'll reschedule you, it's no problem. Little did I know I would never be rescheduling them. I'd never coach them again. In fact, they'd have a completely new trainer with a completely new plan. And, you know, it's horrible being those clients as well because every single one of them have lost. I wasn't just their trainer, you know. I spoke to them about everything. No, I was not a therapist, but they spoke to me about a lot. And I think I feel like they trusted me with a lot. And you would naturally. These clients had seen results. They've seen big results. I was very holistic in the approach that I took with my coaching. You know, it wasn't just, here's your workout, let's go. I would be checking in with the meeting. I'd be seeing, you know, how their life has been that week, in all aspects, not just in fitness aspects. And I think that's something I'm going to miss the most is about personal training, is the fact that I really felt like I made a difference to people's lives. And that's why I started this podcast, because I want to make a difference to people's lives, whether that's big, small, whether it should just be something I've said or how I've dealt with something. Obviously, I'm not qualified in any way, shape or form with therapy or anything like that. I'm just speaking from my own experiences. And I think it's just important to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, it becomes this taboo subject and it's never been spoken about. So then nobody actually knows how other people have dealt with it. So then they actually don't know other ways of dealing with things, so they just stick to their way, which clearly isn't working, because if that problem keeps arising, it's clearly not working. So you need to try something new. How can they try something new if they don't know what else there is out there to try? See what I mean? The only way we can know what else is out there is if people start talking about their experiences. Then we can compare experiences. Well, I dealt with it this way, I dealt with it that way, and actually I might help you in some ways that you could also help me. And that's where I want this podcast to be as open as possible. So like any questions, anything, like it doesn't have to be questions to me. It could be like how you dealt with something that I've struggled to deal with. You might have overcome an eating disorder, there's things like that, and that's where we can all help each other. You like put it in the comments or email. If there is anything, or you want to get in touch at all, send it in. Doesn't even need to be read out. It could just be something to get off your chest. Just state that in it, that you don't want it read out. But yeah, I think it can become a really safe space if we really use this platform and really help each other. People with chronic pain, that's something I've really, really noticed, and it's so lovely to see, is how the support that you give each other. Like on my personal account, like I'm nearly at I know it sounds like nothing, but I'm nearly at 800 followers now. And considering I only started the account not that long ago, really, in hindsight, I think that's really nice. And the thing is, all them 800 people followed me because they want to follow me, or they followed me because they've got chronic pain and my content helps in some way, or I followed them because their content helps me. And I think it's just so nice, and it's so different to the fitness community. Like when I was in the fitness community, like I say, I've had about I don't know, 10,000 followers combined off all platforms, and the community was so much more competitive. Yes, it was supportive, absolutely, but it was more about embracing yourself, embracing your own body, and being proud of what your body can achieve. And I think that can be brought over to this community, but at the same time, this community is just, there's no business. It was always about business with coaches and personal trainers. Like sometimes I was never sort of like that bothered about the business side. I wanted to help people more than anything. But sometimes like people, you would ask them a question, like they were a coach or something, they'd refuse, or they'd just not reply because I could affect their business by taking their clients. But why would I do that? Like, it's just very competitive industry. That's it. We're going to close it up there. I think that is a lovely, lovely pod ep, if I don't say so myself. So if you are listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please leave me a wonderful 5-star rating. I appreciate it. All right, got it. Fabulous. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like. And if you really want to, if there's something about this episode you've really enjoyed, or you have anything to add to, leave it in the comments. I'd love to open a discussion. But yeah, hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks, and I'll just see you in 2 weeks time. Hopefully we'll have an operation date. How exciting. And yeah, of course, as well, if you want to send anything into the podcast, it is stopmoaningpod@gmail.com. But yeah, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in 2 weeks time. Bye.